All right, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, guys. Welcome to Diverses Live. We talk all things poetry to guide you in this process. Hello, there is me. My name is Jeff.
And I'm Matthias.
All right, and we're going to be talking today about one of the age old adages about writing in poetry, which is this concept of show, don't tell. Matthias, have you heard this expression before?
Yes, I actually lost every single show and tell in elementary school, and I won my sixth grade year. Um, but I was at that point I was still competing against fourth graders, but I still won.
I'm kind of curious, what did you bring in to
So
win?
one year I juggled, but the thing is I actually cannot juggle. So I was hoping that people kind of was like, okay, I was like, it was like two, and I only had like two balls that I was like juggling, but like that's not really juggling. That's just like handing a ball over to the other side. Like that's not doesn't take any talent. So they yelled at me, and yeah. And then one show and tell, I did a poem, and another show and tell, I did a dance routine. So yeah,
Are these true stories? Like, is this
yeah.
actually fascinating? The
Yeah.
juggling part too?
Yeah. I feel like okay, so when I was a kid, I could juggle with like two balls like really actually incredibly well. But it's like from what I hear, that's not
Juggling.
a talent.
that's just
So
that's just playing catch.
that's just playing catch. That's not a thing. So but yeah, but nobody told me it wasn't a talent until like I'm bringing it to show and tell. Then everybody's like, but where's the third ball? Like, what are you talking about? I'm not an astronaut. Like,
That's great.
wait,
I
were you
know
ever
this is
any show and tells?
this is a very different conversation than I imagined. No, I don't.
Although this is the conversation that the people come to us for, Jeff. They want to
this
know
is
how many
this is
show and
totally
tells we've
why.
been in.
I honestly don't remember showing. I guess we had it, but it wasn't. It was either so bad I repressed it, or we just didn't have it.
I can't
I
remember
opt
it,
for
which
the
means it
former.
is one of two things. There's a deep depression circling that topic, or it never happened. I can tell you which one I'm rooting
So
for.
that's like, oh my gosh. So let's zero in a little bit. How about from a writing perspective? When I say show and tell in writing, what do you? What's some one of the first things that comes to mind for you?
I mean, one of the things that, and this is something that I think in doing short film, and now in me even processing content and processing film that I'm working on or processing scripts, I think that there's a tendency for writers to want to explain a dynamic that they should be showing or they should be displaying. And if I'm trying to think of a really good, actually, you know what? Here's a really good and I think fairly accessible example. In the Matrix, and I feel like we circle back to the Matrix a lot, but in the Matrix, like there is an exposition part in the training scene where Morpheus is describing what the Matrix is and he's breaking down all that stuff that the Matrix is. But prior, there's a large amount of movie prior to that where you're essentially being taken through like Neo's kind of day to day, and prior to that, like kind of the opening scene, which is one of the best opening scenes that we've ever really had. That like that, especially films in that era had, but like the really great opening scene is a scene where you're kind of shown this world where this person has these seemingly superhuman powers, but then you see these other people that have these superhuman powers. You see the abilities that they have, but then you also see like how they exit the scene, and they don't really explain what's happening, right? You don't really get an explanation yet as far as what's happening, but the world is being shown to you. And if you just invert those two scenes, if you have the scene where Morpheus is doing this big exposition, this is what the Matrix is, and all this other stuff. If you have him doing that before you get that scene, I think it's less impactful. And so, yeah, there's there's just a lot of value in showing your audience a dynamic or showing your audience something as opposed to just spoon feeding it to them and giving it them outright.
Hmm. I think you see it a lot too in writing with just like emotional words, just throwing a word out there a lot like doom or like sadness or grief, and then imagining that that word is going to pull all of its weight
Yeah.
instead of finding dynamics to kind of lead your reader to that conclusion. Because the same thing is very similar to like teaching. If you want
Mm.
something to be really meaningful and memorable for your students, you can't tell them the answer. They have to arrive there on their own. You have to. It's a lot more hand holding and guidance. It's not necessarily just directly telling them. The worst thing you can often do teaching wise is just say, "Oh, this is the rule. This is how it works." If you were allowing the students to kind of go on a route of self discovery, and they stumble upon the answer on their own, even if it involves failure to some degree, that's going to be a much more meaningful experience and one that's also a lot more memorable. So I think that's something that we want to remember with our writing.
Yeah, I think that's, I mean, and not to get like too religious, but like even like when you look at like, texts like the Bible, like the some of the greatest teachers, or the greatest teachers that, like lived even in those times, they would use parable. And like parables are incredibly impactful because they do exactly what you're talking about, which is they take something that might be kind of a complex dynamic to really kind of grasp, and they turn it into a story that's actually accessible. And so now that you have a story that's accessible, now you can put yourself into the story, or you can put your morals into the story and see how your morals change and shift within the dynamic of the parable. And you can, I mean, you just have the ability to kind of really learn something a lot more in a way that's it's going to be deeper than if you just tell somebody something, or
Hmm.
if you just tell them, hey, this is the lesson that you should get from this, or
Hmm. Hmm.
you can give them a parable, a story that they can follow.
Hmm. And I think that actually, a lot of times when you're starting off with a story, you don't know the direction that's going to happen. And that actually probably if you made like modern day parables, if you start a parable with, oh man, the IRS tax collector called me the other day, and like you start off a parable like with that, even like today, um, people would not necessarily know the direction that that's going to go into. Oh, it's actually going to end up being a story about forgiveness, or oh, this is actually going to be a story about whatever the topic may be. It's like having that sense of curiosity, I think, is really key. Again, there has to be that, like I just mentioned, that sense of self discovery that you allow your reader to kind of go through. And then in addition to that, as humans, we think in story, we view ourselves in story. So much of what we do is dictated by the story we tell ourselves about who we are. I am this, so I do this. You For like a person, like for instance, if you have kids, you might be like, what, I'm 5 o'clock when I'm done my shift, I go home to be with my family because that's who I am. I view myself as someone who views family as really important. So that's my narrative. That's what I do. And so
Right.
when you create these narratives, you're creating these like specific individual characters, these specific individual situations that not everyone may experience. Not everyone's a tax collector. Not everyone's a parent. Not everyone's this. Not everyone's this. But you can still put yourself into those shoes and build empathetic relationships with those characters. And so that's really one of the powers that I think showing, not telling, is able to really create. So, all of this in mind, I went to our old friend, who we all know and love, ChatGPT, and I asked I asked ChatGPT to give us a poem that was is a horrible example of of tell, don't show. And this is what I was like, give me that poem in one stanza, and this is what ChatGPT gave me. and I was like, this is perfect. Um, I will do the honors of reading this wonderful poem authored by ChatGPT, based off of the language of how many thousands of writers that they compile. ChatGPT. In a dreary land where shadows loom, fear and darkness like impending doom, a lonely heart, so heavy with strife, yearning for the warmth of a brighter life. Thank you so much, ChatGPT, for your awful work. So horrible, so it loves the rhyming poems, and it's just so hard to get not to rhyme. My God. Um, okay, so Matthias, our goal today is we're really focusing on this belief in like show, don't tell. We have a poem right here that is doing a lot of telling and not necessarily a lot of showing. Let's maybe actually start with that. Where do you see? Let's kind of just take turns identifying places where you see telling, not showing, occurring. So if you had to identify that, what's the first one that you see?
Uh, really, it the first line in a dreary land where the shadows loom. I feel like that's like you're giving me the setting. You're not, showing me what the setting is,
Hmm.
or it's
Hmm.
not. It doesn't have a level of description, or it's just giving me the setting. Like there's ways that you can actually provide the setting within the context of like a narrative that would actually, I think, prove a little
Gotcha.
bit more beneficial.
Hmm. Hmm. So I think the key part of what you're saying, especially that word like dreary, like the thing I'm
Mhm.
wondering is what it's really hard with adjectives, especially adjectives that have like direct emotional language, because dreary is subjective. What's dreary to one person may not be dreary necessarily to someone else. So it's like, what is the thing? And this is where it's also really powerful too, because of that reason, because what's dreary to me might not be dreary to you. What's really really powerful is the so one sec. What's really really powerful is by going into the specific details, let me know more about the speaker. Because if you tell me that if dreary for you is like teddy bears that just like come out of the dryer with like fabric softener, it's like, oh, well, I don't find that dreary at all. I find out so much about you as a speaker if that's your definition of dreary. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, what's
What if Jerry was like the eighth dwarf in Snow White?
we should we should totally like put that like through like Mid Journey or something like that. Just see what they would draw. Like, what would the ace dwarf named Dreary look like? Um, so would you get copyright infringement for that? Like, would Disney sue you if you made Dreary and a, a dwarf? Anyways, if you're a copyright lawyer, please let us know.
Here's an idea brewing here.
Um, so specific, I think some specific detail, especially for Dreary, I would try to replace Dreary. Um, where shadows loom, I think it's not like my favorite line, but I think it could work. Um, though I would kind of want to dive more into what those shadows are. Like, what are the specific things that are causing the
I think
shadows?
it's the loom. It's the loom it's not specific enough. You know what I mean? It's like it's so general that it's not like there's nothing to really like hang on to with the verbiage.
I think potentially one thing I like about it is it's a loom's not like a verb you use every day. Um,
I use it what?
so
This morning I woke up and I went to the loom.
a loom.
Loom.
um, I think that it could convey some of what the speaker is feeling in the right context. But I think it depends. If we don't elaborate on the shadows, then yeah, I could definitely see that issue that you're mentioning. Um, how about in the second line, things that stand out to you show the versus tell.
Uh Fear and darkness, like impending. Yeah. Hold on.
as as Matthias tackles this, for me, the sense of fear. So when I'm looking at this, I don't exactly know what's causing the fear. Like, is it what are we exactly afraid of? So again, this could really reveal some pretty powerful insights into how the speaker feels and what's causing their fear, and give me more information about them. So fear to me is an opportunity to go a little deeper on.
That sounds
Um,
like a Game of Thrones quote. Fear is an opportunity.
oh, that's actually I didn't even know I said that, but yes, we need to put that on a shirt.
I didn't even know that fear is an opportunity.
But I agree. I agree with what I said.
Or like something like Bane would say, fear is an opportunity. Your fear, my
That's
job
actually
application.
Kathy was watching my wife Kathy, she was watching Mr. Robot. This was a while ago. And I forget what line it was. There was such a good I forget the name of all the characters and stuff like that. But there's this one line. It was just like that cross dressing dude. I forget his name. The evil villain dude.
I never
Um
really got into
oh got
Mr.
you. Okay.
Robot.
For those who watch the show, you'll know. But one of the lines in there is don't mistake my generosity for generosity. It's like, oh my gosh, that's a killer line. It's so good.
That's actually
Anyways, fear is an opportunity. Please don't forget that. But yeah, I think fear is an opportunity to dig deeper and let us know more about what's causing that. That can let us know a lot more about the speaker. Um, Other things in that line, Matthias, that kind of stick out to you about about showing versus telling, or too much telling.
I mean, honestly, it's just a bland poem altogether, so it's really hard to.
It
I think
is. It really
critiquing it
is.
is kind of like, man, I don't. It's I. Let's see, fear and darkness, like impending doom. I mean, I don't necessarily like simile in this place either.
I just don't like simile. Period. I threw that out
That's
there.
fair. I don't
I
like simile all the time,
just don't. Just metaphor,
yeah.
man. Metaphor.
But yeah,
Metaphor is
and I
where it's
mean,
at.
no, it's so much stronger. So I mean, yeah, I think that's. I mean, if I had to hammer in on anything, it's probably that.
Mhm. Okay, I think that's fair. Okay. Some other just quick things. Again, lonely heart. We again not entirely sure what's causing that, so that could be an opportunity. Heavy with strife. We don't know what's causing the actual strife. Um, Brighter life. We don't know what that looks like.
Yeah.
So we have so many opportunities here. So Matthias, I am putting us with the charge of trying to take this, in your words, very bland poem and turning it into something that actually might be worth reading for pleasure and not just for torture, as in our live stream right now. So,
Yeah.
what I'd like to do, I kind of want to just like take some turns here. Um, I'm happy to let you go first. If you want me to go first, I can. Maybe just picking individual sections and then trying to spice them up. And then as we go, maybe we can start getting an idea too of who this speaker actually is and what they actually want. Um, or do you think it would be more helpful to kind of start there? Like if you imagine, let's kind of like maybe let's try to maybe build some context first, and that might help color the things that we use. Um, what do you think is the struggle that the speaker, if like an individual speaker, if you had to identify an individual speaker here, what do you think is the struggle that they are trying to convey?
Man, it feels like
Anything at
okay,
all?
and I don't know. I might be more satirical than most. No, that's not.
Okay,
Okay,
we can
but
take
yeah,
it any direction. Any direction.
okay, so I'm thinking like if like you were almost like a Penny Dreadful like world where like you started off maybe things were like good and sunny and bright and whatever, and then like the coming of the end of the world started, and now it's like this, the monsters have awakened, and so now there's this like lonesomeness because you're like, because they're monsters and because of what, like let's like I don't know, let's take for example if it was like vampires or something like that. So like now you
Okay.
have like your loved ones maybe are vampires or ghouls or whatever like that, and now it's
Okay.
lonely and you're in this like really dark place. I don't know.
Uh-huh.
If I had if I had to like start off, because like I'm thinking of like, like that era London,
Hmm.
kind of like
Cool. Give
Jack
me a title.
Nicholson.
So let's hang on. Let me put my poetry font out. So we're gonna put on some Garamond. So no poets love Garamond, and we'll make this a little bigger, so like size 16. Okay. So the title of this poem tentatively is "On Finding My Family Has Become Vampires." Is that the direction we're going?
Finding my family has become vampires.
We can change it
Uh,
later, but
okay.
that seems to be the direction I'm taking. What I'm
Okay,
detecting from what you told me.
I'm with
Um,
it.
okay. So already we're kind of starting to ground this. So we're imagining it's giving us some context, right? So we're in a world where we have family members, but unfortunately, they have been turned into blood sucking beasts. All right. Hopefully, this never
I was
happens to
gonna
you.
make a joke, but then I was like, I shouldn't make the joke.
No, no, never hold back. Never.
Yes, no, yes, hold back. Please do.
Apologize later. Do it first and apologize.
Uh,
Um, okay. So I'm finding my family has become vampires. Cool. So in a dreary land where shadows loom, how can we adjust this? Maybe the first part. So in a dreary land, how can we make this into more showing and less telling?
uh, man. Uh,
And for the sake of this exercise, I want to try to keep the things in relatively the same position as they are. So if it's the first part's in a dreary land, sticking to first part something with place, right? And things like that.
uh, where the shadows sunk to the ground. Well, no, because I was about to use a simile. No, I'm not gonna do that.
Tell me more about this dreary land.
That's what
Tell me
I'm
more
trying
about
to
it.
kind of get like a really good picture. Like,
Are we in their house? Are we out? Are we outside? Are we inside?
I feel like it feels like a marsh. I feel like we'd be outside.
We're in a marsh. Okay. So are we close to their house? Why are we not at home? And these aren't necessarily
Look,
things we have
there's
to answer. These are things that
vampires at
protect
home,
yourself.
Jeff.
Okay, because the vampires are at home. Um, so this isn't just I'm finding my family on running from my family who have become vampires. Right? Okay,
Hmm.
so we're in a marsh. Cool. With you. Okay. Um, tell me more about this marsh.
Uh, let me think.
Do you want to we can look at some pictures of marshes if you want. Would that
I
help?
have. I'm trying. I'm just trying to fit because I think the line placement and the description having to be kind of similar kind of complicates things a little bit. Because I have a way that I might rework the poem. I think that the way that the poem is constructed is like I don't like it. So it's like I'm trying to figure out like, okay, how would I navigate using the structure that we have, if that makes
Okay,
sense.
I hear you.
And
One thing that might work is instead of saying in a marsh, like I even just start with like the marsh. It's like the marsh, like blank where blank. It's kind of like the general idea I'm getting.
mm,
I don't know if that gives you anything to run with.
the marsh threatens the marshes and would swallow you like a swallow
What's
you.
what about the marsh swallows you? What in the marsh?
The
What's in
marsh
the marsh?
itself. So I would like so like the it's unsettled ground, right? So like just the
Hmm.
thought like walking through the marsh could be dangerous because like you could sink
Okay.
into the
What
ground.
kind of I wonder what kind of ground. Like, so I'm thinking when you say those sorts of things, I'm starting to think of like ground images. So like clay, silt, uh, what are some, trying to think of like something that kind of like has that like, kind of like sand. Maybe not like quicksand, but like something like that would also kind of add in some sensory, some texture, and also some natural image as well. Um, so even like the suck of like the marshes, clay on. And feel free if you don't like it. Feel free to tell me. But like what I'm kind of imagining, based on what you told me, is like the suck of the marshes, clay on. What kind of shoes do you think the speaker has?
Galoshes.
The suck. Oh, how about this? Yeah, the suck of marsh clay on lashes. You're not feeling that. I'm
Mm.
with it.
I have like an image of like a spoon entering into like a bowl of oatmeal. You
So
know
you're
what I
trying to
mean?
get that like that sort of like textured, almost that kind of like a little bit
Yeah.
of like resistance, a little bit. To me, suck has that, but no. Um,
But it doesn't have the
so
I
like
feel like it has like the word but not the image.
okay. So how about like almost like I feel like we maybe like playing off of words like pull or the stretch or like
Stretch doesn't
the
seem right because I feel like stretch indicates apart and
hmm
not down,
hmm
you know?
so you want to have something that's like really kind of like pulling you in kind
Right.
of sense. So almost more like grab or
On running the pool of the marsh on my galoshes.
pull, grab, grip. Uh, I like what you mentioned about the oatmeal. I'm trying to think of some other things. The
Mm.
Almost like the strangle. Uh,
It's just okay because I'm like, yeah, I think it's just the commitment to the form, which I see the
yeah,
reason, but it's just like I'm trying to figure out like, okay, in that way, how would I do that? Yeah.
I misspoke. Galoshes. I'm so sorry. It's with a U. Oh, I really wow. Or is it G A? Or is it which one is it? Is it GOUL or is it GAL? Wow. I'm gonna go with the ghoul because I like the ghoul. I mean, Grand Ghoul has like an H, but I think that's fitting with our vampire thing. Um, okay, we can come back to that part.
I feel like okay, so I feel like I would want to use a simile here that I feel like maybe we're not into similes, but I feel like there's a
Give
unique
me
image.
this. Okay, do you have a simile? And then we can try to work with it.
Well, I would just use the simile to connect the images as opposed to like I think right now I'm trying to use the metaphor, but there's no way to I think make that feel natural. And
What do you
also
got?
it's like uh the marsh pulling my boot like a spoon on the porridge surface. Because it's like, I feel like for the era, they would probably be eating
Mhm.
porridge.
Okay. So March pulling my boot like a spoon in porridge.
I feel like you don't think like the porridge surface,
Go on. Can you tell me to again?
like the spoon on the porridge surface, the marsh, the marsh. Oh wait,
The only
I
thing is, I don't know if
settle
this
my
simile directly works because I think you have to switch the porridge and the spoon. Like a spoon,
settle.
like a porridge pulls a spoon.
Yeah. Wait, what was that?
I think the I think the simile is in reverse. So I think it's more like the marsh pulling my boot like porridge pulling a spoon or something like that. I think it has to be
Yeah,
flipped.
yeah, yeah, yeah. The marsh. Or my boots settle on the marsh. My boots settle on the marsh like a spoon on the porch surface. My boots, my galoshes settle on the marsh like the spoon on the porch surface. I don't know. How do you feel about that?
I think we can work with it. There's probably some things I would personally like take out. Like I would say galoshes on marsh, like spoon. I'd maybe do something like this personally. But if you want me
Galoshes
to add some
on
more words,
marsh, galoshes on marsh like this morning, spoon on porch. I can get with that.
all right, we have our first part.
Or how do you feel about galoshes on marsh like this spoon on the morning's porridge?
Like this spoon, we're bringing the spoon
Like
with us.
a spoon on the
Like it's oh, okay.
morning's porridge. You know what I mean?
Mhm. I like the only thing I liked about having like this more is like it could be something that you play with in the poem where it's like, hey, this morning things were so natural. I was just eating my
Okay.
porridge, and then this evening, like, oh my gosh, everyone's a vampire now. Man,
Okay.
exactly.
I get it.
You know what I mean? So this I think could do work if you want it to. Um, um, this is intriguing. I think like if I were just reading random poems, I feel like I'd be, oh, this is different.
Yeah. Because I feel like if, especially if you're like, I think the porridge adds an the era feel to it because it's like,
Hmm.
to my knowledge, isn't porridge just like oatmeal?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
So
there's other or like yeah. Um,
I guess yeah, there's other configurations
you
people
can
put
you
in.
can make with like rice or stuff, but I might even add
You can make
so
porridge
again
with rice.
like a rice. Yeah, I'd want to
What
say
do you think?
yes.
What do you think the three bears had going on? I feel like they had
Uh,
like,
I feel like they ate nothing because Goldilocks ate it all.
no, she didn't. She only ate all
Oh no,
of the,
you want me
the
to
mama
show me?
bears.
I need
She
to
had the
just
baby bears, and it was like, oh, whoa, too cold. Had papa bears, and it was like, whoa, this is too hot. But
this is
the moms was like, hey, this is all right.
this is
Wait, oh no, or was it the babies that she
it
ate all of?
was the baby. Yeah, she
Which
ate all
doesn't
the baby.
actually make a lot of sense because wouldn't that be coldest the fastest?
It would be unless it was like they took it out last. I'm not getting into
They when you
the
just pour
physics
the
of like
porridge from a large container into each of the
I
containers.
I don't. Law of thermodynamics is not my special. All right. So
I got the poetry,
um,
okay? I didn't.
spoon on. I might even add in like I think this could be an opportunity for an adjective that might like conveys again some more to speaker, let me in a little bit more. Like stubborn, porridge, or like dry porridge, or because I think that might even tie like some like irony, like some sort of word. I think could really convey
Thick,
a lot about the speaker here.
maybe? Because I feel like I don't know. I think the the image of the galoshes in the marsh is supposed to kind of depict sinking, and I think that doing like making it dry
Because to me that would
takes away
like
from
okay. What about like thick?
that. Yeah, that's what I said.
Oh, you said thick.
Yeah,
I'll claim it. Thick it
that's like some other people like, what if we do thick?
is. Or maybe even like maybe too expensive. What about like Tari?
That's because it adds is adding another. It's adding an image that's not. It's adding like a third image as an adjective to the previous adjective, like previous image.
You
I
think
feel
it's
like
too
maybe
much? I think it adds like some. It lets us know how the speaker felt about this porridge in the morning. That'd be my argument. But I hear what you're saying too.
okay. Oh.
If you think it's too much, I'll take it out.
I like using I actually like using tar though because I feel like using tar feels era appropriate too.
Hmm. I'll keep it if we
Yeah.
want. We can take it. We can always take it out later. Okay, cool. So we have our first part. So instead of saying in a dreary land, we have galoshes on marsh, like this morning's spoon on tarry porridge. Um, I do not use a whole lot of punctuation, so I'm probably going to go without punctuation. But if you want punctuation, you just let me know what you want. So I want to take a look at that where shadows loom part. I probably wouldn't even just use where. I'd probably just jump right into the shadows. Um, what kind of plants are in a marsh? I need to know more about marshes.
Ooh. Um.
I might lag for a second. But plants grow on a marsh or in a marsh. Cattails. You want some cattails?
I have plenty.
This-
What is it? Okay. Pickerel weed.
See some dogwood, water lilies. We got some carrot stricta. Out of all these, I see pickerel weed, which I don't know what that is, but at least I can I see weed and I know what that means.
Like the sound of
Cattails
them.
to me has like the most universal appeal, so I'm kind of leaning towards cattails.
Okay. I can go with cattails.
Okay, it's like cattail shadows. Splash. Splash my calves or something like that. Or my what's the clothing that they wear around their ankles in that era? Is this a male speaker, female speaker,
Clothing that they wear around their ankles.
or like clothing? What kind of clothing did they wear? Knickers? Did they wear knickers? Or did they wear uh, trousers, overalls?
Uh,
Need some period attire. What year were you imagining this? What year are you seeing?
probably the early 1900s.
Like where in 1900?
Yeah, like London,
Stockings. Okay.
because I'm thinking like the
Stockings.
era where stockings. Would they wear stockings though? Because it's in a marsh, and you're wearing galoshes.
Yeah, but maybe they weren't planning on running through the marsh.
Uh, I was
No,
eating
your
my
family was
porridge, and then my family just became a vampire, and I'm running
my
through the
family was a
marsh in the galoshes.
vampire.
Oh, it's just a harrowing experience.
Young boys wore shorts or knickers. I'm just saying.
Are knickers shorts?
I don't know.
If you're if you're watching this, do not say that sentence 5 times fast anywhere you are. Or do whatever you want.
Yes, we have to be careful. I'm kind of leaning. Honestly, I'm kind of leaning towards it.
I support it.
Okay. All right. I think we have our first line done. So instead of saying in a dreary land where shadows loom, we have galoshes on marsh like this morning's spoon on tarry porridge, cattail shadows splash, knickers. Did not think I'd be writing a poem.
Oh.
But here we are. Look, this speaker was surprised. I'm surprised.
We're all
We're
a
all
little surprised by the
we're in this
splashing
together.
of liquor.
All right. So how about this next line? I'm gonna let you take the reins. I'll let whatever you suggest. I am here for.
What, a
We have to
lonely
replace.
heart so heavy with strife?
No, fear and darkness, like impending doom.
Oh, wait, yeah, I guess. Yeah. Fear and darkness like impending doom. Uh Let me see. Galoshes on marsh like this morning spoon. On tarry porridge, cattail shadows, splash knickers. Despair's grip. Like uh no. Uh
If it were me, I'd be thinking about trying to tie into vampires at this point to some degree, because that's kind of what the fear is
yeah.
generated from.
But it's like a general fear, but I feel like if you call out the vampires, then it takes away from the because I don't think that the poem would be describing vampires as much as it's describing the predicament of like sadness or despair as a result. So I think
Yeah, I
I don't
agree.
anger is maybe yeah.
But there's also some fear into that too, because I mean, it's like yeah, it's like man, my family, but it's also man, my family wants to also like bite me.
Eat me.
Also, there's also that like it's
They want to
complicated.
splash my knickers.
Like most, like most family dynamics, this is very complicated. I love
I
my
mean,
father, but I hate when he sinks his
now,
teeth.
now, granted, this isn't even the worst family reunion, but oh man, uh, the sting. Oh wait, have we used that word yet? Uh,
There are still several
Des-
million words we have not used.
despair sinks its teeth. Uh, it is the leech that grows heavy. The leech that grows heavy with time. The leech that grows heavy with time. Yeah, the leech that grows heavy.
So this despair sinks his teeth. It is the leech that
The
grows
leech
heavy with
that
time.
sinks its teeth. Fool.
Yay, nay?
What was that?
Yay, nay? Is this good?
I think we can go strong. I think we can do better. This just sinks its teeth. The pears that sinks its teeth. That makes its meal.
After teeth?
Yeah, it's the despair that sinks its teeth.
The despair that sinks its teeth.
It's the despair that sinks its teeth
You
and
want the or no the?
covers and
Sorry.
blows out the candles. No, it's the despair that sinks its teeth as the wax overtakes the flame.
So you're saying like I'm working the simile with the simile here. So you're saying the wick burns down to the wax, and so there's nothing
Yes.
left. Okay.
Yeah, because I think it gives the image of the like a dinner table, so it's also giving like family.
I don't know if I got dinner. Not
The
say I
the
can't.
that sinks its teeth as the wax overtakes the flame. I don't know. I mean, maybe there's somewhere where I can make a stronger correlation to a dinner table, but the despair that sinks its teeth as the wax overtakes the flame. As the wax overtakes the flame.
I'd maybe I would consider adding the word deeper. Sinks his teeth deeper as wax, or is that too much?
What was the what's why deeper? Why adding deeper?
Because I think sinking teeth deeper. I think deeper shows a progression of time. It also think it that makes it feel even more painful. It's not just it doesn't sink its teeth. It's like going worse and worse and worse as you're getting more into the situation as well. But if you think it's too much, that's fine.
Mm,
I like the progression it implies.
I like it. I like it too. Okay, as well as it sinks his teeth deeper. Wait, hold on. Okay, let me. Galoshes on marsh like this morning spoon on tarry porridge. Cattail shadows splash knickers. Despair sinks its teeth deeper as the wax overtakes the flame, and the dark settles. And a dark and the dark settles on the
The dark
table.
settle. Mhm.
The dark settles on the table like the fog in the harbor.
I want to see if we can get rid of the.
Like a harbor's fog. What was that?
I want to see if we can get rid of the simile, personally.
Yeah, we get. Yeah, let's. Well, I mean, yeah, let's figure that out. Yeah, yeah.
But we have the image. Okay, so the dark
Okay.
settles on the table. Um, um, Lashes on Mars like this morning. Spoon, Atari porridge, cattail, shadows splash Snickers. Despair sinks its teeth deeper as wax overtakes the flame. The dark settles. What if something like dark settles on the table? Fog. The heart. What do you think? What do you feel about this?
What if like the dark settles at the table until there's nothing? I mean, I feel like this extends it. The dark settles at the table until there's nothing but a harbor's fog between us.
Who's the us?
Yeah, you're right. That's bad. Never mind.
That's, I'm not saying. I'm not saying. It's good.
You're right,
I
Ken. You're stupid.
just.
Who's the us? You're right. I hate
Dark. How about this? Like while dark settles in the parlor, and somewhere that image or that time period, and fog in the harbor. I think this could stand. I don't know. You don't think it stand?
Yeah, I think it stands.
I might even take off the and.
Harbor in the parlor, fog in the harbor.
Cause then I like the parallelism there.
Foggy. The wax overtakes the flame while dark settles in the parlor, fog in the harbor.
It's also not. It could. If we extend the line, it might still work. I hear you on the rhyme, but I think depending on what comes after, it could work. But if you think it's too much,
Well, let's see what comes after. All right.
okay, okay. Okay, so I kind of want to get a little bit of that impending doom, a little bit more. By the way,
Okay.
if you have to head out, let me know because I know it's like
No, you're good, man.
I like this here. All right, so let's see what we got going on. So galoshes on marsh, like this morning spoon, Ontari porridge, cattail, shadows, splash Knickers. Despair sinks its teeth deeper as the wax overtakes the flame, while dark settles in the parlor. Fog in the harbor. Um, impending doom. Um, impending doom. Eventually,
Galoshes.
um, I think instead of my family, I kind of want to make it more intimate. I think it should be one person. I think it should be a dynamic between two people.
It should be a wife, like a partner,
Could
somebody.
be it could be a romantic partner, but I think there's other elements too. Like it could be like mother son or son father. It could be romantic partners too. Um,
I just feel like that. I feel like the. I mean, and depending, I think like the way to make a mother son dynamic work well, I think that would be as strong as maybe a husband and wife would maybe if like it's like a child. But I also don't think that like some of like the language that we're using, I think I would like necessarily think that I would I would
or what about
get
like
a little.
brothers?
What was that?
What about like or like a like twins or something like that.
Oh, you're a
That could be
twin.
interesting. Yeah, they're right. My brother's a vampire. My galoshes.
That's my knickers.
Like on running from my twin who has become a vampire.
I feel like that feels like a Disney movie.
I like the dynamic of it though, because it's like it plays with the duality a lot, which is what vampires are doing anyways. No,
Are they?
I feel like it's this human. I don't want to say like subhuman, but like altered
The
human
Living
kind of state.
Dead.
Yeah,
I see it. I feel like the despair of losing like a wife or a husband to like them being a vampire, I think feels more impending doom than a sibling.
but it's different when it's a twin. As a twin, I'm very biased. Like,
Okay.
cause like
I mean,
there's
you
so
would
much
know. I
happening
mean,
already.
I'm not a twin that I
I,
know of,
I
unless I have a really
Am I
interesting,
dead? Am I?
unless I have like a very interesting movie that I could tell.
So like the twin, because like the twin aspect is like when you have parents, there's kind of like
When you're a person like me,
no, it's
and
like,
you have,
no, like
I'm one of the
it's
few
like
that I actually
because
came.
it's not an equal relationship. Whereas like with a twin, it's a balanced relationship. There's the sense of familiar. You grew up with this person, so there's this sense of familiar, which is also
Mm.
just what we have in terms of the scene here. Where there's a lot of familiar scene, but also unsettlingness. There's wax over the flame. We're still in the same room, but the room's changed, right? Or it's like I'm running through the marsh now. I know this marsh, but I haven't had to run through it for my life before, or like the harbor and things like that. Like I know this harbor, but it's different when there's fog and things. Like I've taken the familiar and I'm subverting it.
Yeah, I feel
And I
like I don't necessarily disagree. I think that if I would have been thinking about twin earlier, I think there's probably some other change. There's probably some other you know what I mean? Because I feel
for
like
sure
twins is really
that's
distinct. You know what I mean? So it's like, dang, like I really wish like some of the images that I probably would have went with would have.
I hear you, but that's the joys of first draft, right? Because the first draft, you're still feeling it out, and you're like, "Oh, what if we did this?" And then future drafts, you tweak and you amplify,
Yeah,
you
you're
know.
right.
Um, but whatever we decide, I think that this poem achieves a higher level of intimacy if it's one versus another, versus one versus an entire family.
Uh, I agree.
So then you would still argue wife, romantic partner,
Um,
like my
I
love.
I think that the here's the only because it's like it's the first draft. So like I hear what you're saying about it being the first draft. So as far as it being the first draft, it's like I don't think that I think it might seem like an entirely different poem if I was
Hmm.
entering in with the subject is we're 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 envisioning that the person that has become a vampire is like the
Okay,
twin because I think it's a much more unique
it
context
is.
than the husband and wife. You know what I mean?
It is. I think it gives you a lot more opportunity to play. It's a lot less. I think it's a lot less expected. But
Yeah.
let's roll. Let's roll. I'm gonna just change it to my love. I'm running from
Yeah,
my love.
I think that's I'm just saying I think that's like a much it's just it's a relatable like dynamic that I think that if you're not even if you're not writing specifically towards it, it feels like
Mhm.
okay, like
Okay.
I which is to say I just wouldn't I don't think I would have naturally come across and been like, oh, like the day my twin like running away from
Hmm.
my twin who's become a vampire.
It wasn't for sure. I agree with you. It's not the
Yeah.
first saying. But then when I saw it, I was like, "Oh, wow,
No,
this."
the thing is, I could be down with that, actually. It's just I feel like I wish I would've, like, been thinking about that the entire time, you know
Mhm,
what I mean?
mhm, yeah. But for now, I think using, like, "my love," I think is period language, like, I think that would work well.
Okay.
Um, um, also, like, just, like, has become vampire instead of, like, become a vampire, just become vampire. I kinda like that. So I'm running from my love who has become vampire. Um, something that lets you do is even we can say I don't really like the like, for this, we could even change it to, like, we change it, like, to, like, her or his, depending on what you want
Yeah,
your speaker,
galoshes
you know?
on the marsh
Mhm.
like her morning spoon on tarry porridge,
Um,
cattail shadows, tarry porridge, cattail shadows,
I might even take
spoon.
off mornings, I might just morning, like, her morning, spoon on tarry porch, cattail shell, splash, Snickers, despair sinks his teeth deeper as the wax
Hmm.
overtakes the flame. That's a nice. I like the if it is if you do decide on lovers for the poem, I like that wax overtaking the flame, like the romantic interest. Like, I'm sorry, I'm just not interested in you anymore. Kill me,
Mm.
kind of thing. I like that.
Just put a little bit of thought into that image. Your teeth just
You were
grow.
great till.
Ah!
um, as the wax overtakes the flame while dark settles in the parlor, fog in the harbor. Eventually, she will something. This is for that impending doom. This is I want to know what the doom is. What is she going to do to me? To me, that's the doom.
Mm.
I need a really strong verb.
Eventually,
What is the speaker fear? What is she? What is the speaker most afraid of?
eventually she will make a meal of me. Kind of travels
I would,
back to the porridge. Eventually she will make a meal of me too.
I want to go on you. What like she will meal me? No,
uh, uh,
make a meal to me is too wordy.
eventually she will dine.
Died on tendon,
Uh,
supple tendon.
Eventually I will be a main course of sorts. No, not of sorts. Just I too will be a main course. I will be
Okay.
entree.
I like the idea. So eventually, I too will be because that implies I think your reader hears that and they know the context of vampire, so they're expecting, oh, I too will be a vampire, right, or something like that. Um, so I think this is an opportunity to subvert that in some way with something that's a little bit more unexpected.
How do you mean? I think the thing that people fear when they are like talking about the fear of vampires isn't necessarily being turned into a vampire, because I think like for the most part, like the ethos is like you're afraid of being killed by a vampire, not
Yeah.
necessarily turned into a vampire.
Oh, this.
I too will be hungry.
Because it implies that The
He's
lover is
already
already
been.
hungry, and right now I'm too. So I think it goes on different levels because I mean, there's the literal level, like you're a person, so eventually you are going to be hungry. But then there's also the idea that if you get bitten and turn to a vampire, you will be hungry for blood and things
Well,
like
is
that.
it? Yeah, kind of make gives the implication that either like I actually kind of enjoy the implication that he's already been turned.
And it could also imply that potentially. Yeah.
So it's like maybe this entire thing is playing out like he's just been turned,
Hmm.
and you
Hmm.
know he's kind
I
of
hear you.
coming to that realization.
Hmm. Hmm. How about this? Like eventually, I too will be hungry and alone.
Ooh, but why alone?
Oh, you think they're gonna be like staying together?
It depends on what direction you go with it.
Yeah,
Like
I agree.
either
I
either
don't.
either he is a vampire and they're going to actually be together because they're both vampires, or
Mhm.
you know, eventually I too will be hungry and alone.
Or maybe that would be enough for like the doom. Because I'm trying to get back to this lonely heart part. A lonely heart, so heavy with strife.
Eventually, eventually she will be more hungry than she is my wife, because that next line being a lonely heart so heavy with strife, or whatever we do to allude to this loneliness, would then be coupled with the kind of the fact that she'll be hungrier than she is his wife. You know what I mean? Like she's his wife right now, but she's eventually going to be hungry enough to want to kill him.
I kind of wanted to stick with the speaker's perspective. I'm not gonna lie.
That wouldn't be the speaker's perspective.
Like I feel like this could be dived
Oh,
down. This could be doubled down on even further.
okay.
Like Show too. We'll be hungry. Whatever we do, I want to keep this. Personally, I want to keep this.
Eventually,
At least
okay,
like
I got you. Okay, I mean we can do that then.
that. Lonely heart so heavy with strife. Um,
I too will be hungry.
Feeling like no neck enough to um, seat, something like that. I feel like that could be one direction.
Could be hungry.
Um,
I too will be hungry. Ooh. Oh wait, I have something. Hold on. Hold on. It's right there. What if I too will be insatiable, a passenger in the voyage of my hunger. A lone passenger in the voyage of my hunger, because then it makes the hunger like a journey, but it's like a lonely journey.
so eventually, I too will be insatiable.
A passenger in the voyage of my hunger.
A passenger.
Yep, in the voyage of my hunger. Because I think that gives loneliness, and it also get I think, I mean, it feels like it gets heavy with strife too,
Hmm.
you know. Galoshes on marsh like her morning spoon on tarry porridge, cattail shadows, splash knickers. Despair sinks its teeth deeper as the wax overtakes the flame, while dark settles in the parlor fog. In the harbor eventually, I too will be insatiable. I too will be insatiable, a passenger in the voyage of my hunger. Oh, I think that works. I mean, what do you think?
Okay. I think it. Yeah. The one thing wasn't entirely sure is like the lonely. I don't know if I get loneliness from this, but I get the other conflicts. Um,
What if we add, a lone passenger in the voyage of my hunger?
that's what I was
But,
thinking
I mean, maybe
too.
that's too specific. But I mean, I don't know that I don't get loneliness from it. I think that there's like I think there's a connotation of like you being a passenger in the voyage of your hunger. Like I think when I'm presented with that image, I do see that image as lonesome.
I see the lack of control.
Yeah, no, I got you there.
Like I see the lack of agency. Um, but I don't know if I see that as being like kind of like a solitary. That's the only thing. But I
Okay.
see everything else. Um, is there any word for like a single trip or like something you do on your own? I'm happy to leave
Solo?
it for now. I'm happy to leave it for no for now. Um, which will take us to the last line: yearning for the warmth of a brighter life. Um, to be insatiable, pastor into voyage of my hunger. Yearning for the warmth. When I see warmth, I'm kind of picturing like blood and like steam. Those are kind of the images I'm getting that could
Mm.
kind of convey that. And that would also tie into the brighter because that's what a vampire, I imagine, wants. I'm not a vampire.
This is what you guys know at home. I'm not a vampire. Like this is just. I imagine. Like, I think like
You're
maybe vampire will want this. Like I know if I personally was a vampire. Like if you're asking me if I was personally a blood sucking, life
which I
devouring
would never be. I would
monster.
never,
Like
never.
I would never do that. Like
I
I
would
would
never
never
think
do
of warm,
that. Man,
supple blood,
delicious, almost
tasty. Juice of the gods made human.
Medium rare. Just, I would never do it. I would never even think about it. I would never even think about it. It was just because
um,
who would even want that unless you have like a nice like Cabernet to go with it? Like you would it doesn't even make any sense.
anyways, that's what I see with that. For some reason, I don't understand. Passenger voyage of
Some
my
reason none
hunger.
of us will understand until it's too late.
Sight of blood. Um,
Galoshes on marsh like her morning spoon on tarry porch, cattail shadows, splash knickers, despair sinks its teeth deeper as the wax overtakes the flame, while dark settles on the parlor fog in the harbor. Eventually, I too will be insatiable passenger in the voyage of my hunger. That's a good line.
I think it's strong. Um, yearning for the warmth of a brighter life. Passenger. How about this? There's something to work with.
Okay. What if instead of pull, what if it's yank?
Yeah, we need a strong verb. I don't. I want more. Pull. Yank. um.
Wrestle.
Ooh, wrestles. Hunger. Eager to wrestle. I like wrestle.
Eager to wrestle. What if instead of the neck, like the collarbone? No, neck is
Or,
more neck gets it.
or the neck, or maybe like we could have some nice wordplay, like clavicle. Clavicle from collar.
Clavicle,
Anyone?
jugular.
I always think it's too. It's a little too harsh.
But the jugular is too harsh.
I don't like the just sounds. I don't like the g.
Yeah, the yeah,
It's a
no,
little too heavy. Neck,
no.
neck and collar has a nice with the K sounds.
Yeah, I like it.
It's also punchier.
Yeah, I'll rock with you there.
I might end it there for now. Go ahead, change the layer. I mean, gosh, wasn't even intended to be a full poem. It was a single stanza.
Oh, but it works. I like it.
All right. So, with the constraints we had, I think it's pretty good.
Look at us. We're better than artificial intelligence, I think.
I mean, Grant, I gave it a horrible prompt. I mean, let's not I want to attack ChatGPT too much. This is what we got. So basically, all of this was operating on the principle of showing versus telling, and basically, we are trying to take the moments that I thought were doing the most telling, and now hopefully they're doing showing. So just to kind of again highlight it, Jury Land, we turned into like galoshes with the marsh and like the tarry things and kind of the scene setting. The shadows looming, so we have the cattail shadows
Yeah.
as we run through. Fear and darkness. It's like the despair. I think also just the impact of the title. We gave it a title.
Yeah.
It's like the love who's become the vampire. Um, the impending doom. Um, it's like despair sinking his teeth, wax overtaking the flame, darkness in the parlor, fog in the harbor, all of that. Um, a lonely heart, so heavy with strife that I too will be insatiable, a passenger in the voyage of my hunger, yearning for the warmth of a brighter life, eager to wrestle the neck out of the collar. I like it.
Me too.
Yeah,
I'm with it.
cool. All right, Matthias, thanks for joining me on this journey. I'm sorry about all the tech
No,
issues we had.
it was on my end, man. Like I'm glad. I think very soon I shall have a setup that, in the event that we are not able to be together there, that we'll have something suitable set up here.
Mm, you
In the
definitely
event,
should have. There is no reason that you don't have your own like thing set up. That is 100% true.
that's facts. These are facts.
That's yeah,
These are
cool.
facts. But dude, I don't even think we talked about it yet. Is it open mics this Friday, right?
Yes, yes. So we do have our open mic this Friday for those of you keeping in touch. So again, in
Oh
Columbus at
yeah.
Throwaway Cafe at 7:30. Um, if you'd like to join us, you can bring 2 poems or read for 5 minutes, whatever is just short of the two. And
We should bring
other
this
things too.
poem. You should read this poem.
We can, yeah. I'll screenshot this and things like that. So I'm gonna share. Um, other things too. Also on Thursday, there's a poet whose name is Amanda Nicole Corbin, and we are hosting a reading for her because she has a book launch and a chapbook launch, and all of those are going to be on topics that, um, just based on family history, I'm very interested in because she's talking about her own battle with alcoholism and overcoming that. So that will be 7:30 p.m. at Gehanna Library. It's just
Nice.
a note there. All right. Anything else, good sir?
No, I think that's it, man.
Cool. All right, man. I'll let you go. You have a good night. Thanks for joining us, guys. You guys, this has been Diversus Live. Talk all things poetry. We'll be back next week. You guys have a good day. Have a good night. Good afternoon.